right, so the objective is being able to solve inequalities with one variable. So use that success criteria as your study guide. You are supposed to have an exit ticket at the end of class today, but I decided to be nice and move it to tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, you will have an entrance ticket on what we are learning today and also yesterday. So use this as your study guide, the success criteria. You need to be able to solve inequalities, which the steps are the same as an equation. You need to be able to distribute, combine like terms, move the variable to one side, all of that. You need to remember to flip the inequality in certain situations. What are those situations? When you divide by a negative on both sides, and what else? When you multiply by a negative on both sides. So think about that. When you multiply or divide something by a negative number, doesn't it change the sign of that number? So then it has to change the sign of the inequality too. It just flips it. All right, and then lastly, which is real important, is the entrance ticket has like 3 number lines. You need to be able to graph your solution on a number line. Questions about that? Yeah. Oh, sorry. You don't really need your Chromebook that much this hour. All right, except for like the calculator, but I guess we'll just have to look at it. All right, if you have been absent, remember I do record every single day, like I'm recording now. Then I post it in the slides for whatever day that you were absent. So do check those out. Let's go into Schoology and click on whatever day you were absent, sorted by date. And yesterday you got the worksheet that goes with this lesson, the 1-4 practice. It's a worksheet, which is the first one of the semester. You'll have time today to work on it. And you will, once you're finished, upload it into Schoology. So I don't accept papers with all the COVID stuff going on right now. You're going to upload it to Schoology. Here's how to take a picture with your Chromebook if you don't know how, but I'll talk about it more later too. So you'll just upload it to that link in Schoology, and then I can grade it from there. But still hang on to it until you see that grade go through. This I already talked about. If you want to do test corrections, you can read this slide in Schoology and follow the instructions. And this is the schedule for the assessments this week. So tomorrow you'll have an entrance ticket. You know, these dates do move back sometimes depending on how far we get, but tomorrow you for sure will have an entrance ticket on what we're learning today. Questions about that? All right, I'm expecting good scores. So I don't think that the exit or the entrance ticket is like one of those that tries to trick you a lot. So, you know, expecting good scores on that. Plus, you guys seem to be good at solving equations, and solving inequalities is like 90% the same. All right, so let's look at example 2. We did example 1 yesterday. So we're looking at example 2 right now. And this is on your note sheet. All right, we're reading the note sheet to start first. So what's the first step when you're solving? Yes, so what is that called? It is called distributing. Do I need to distribute in this problem? And not in this one, so move on to step 2, which is combine like terms. So look at each side of your inequality symbol. On the left side, do I have any like terms that I need to combine? Not on the left side. What about on the right side? No, the terms are already combined, so we're good there. Now, we move on to step 3. Do you remember what step 3 is? It's not on the board today. Sorry. You guys need to start memorizing them. So what was the third thing we need to do? Move the variable to one side. So which one do you want to move, the 3.5x or the 1.5x? And how do I move it? With inverse operations. So how can I make that cancel? How can I make that 1.5x go away? Subtract it, right? So subtract the 1.5x on each side. Questions there? On the left side, what's 3.5x minus 1.5x? Is it 2.5? Don't be afraid to use a calculator. It's not 1, 2. It is 2. All right, no mental math on the test. All right, and then bring everything else down. So we have plus 19 greater than or equal to, because we have not done anything to cause the sign to flip yet. And then what happens on the right side to the x terms? Cancel out. So what do I have on the right side? Good, don't forget that negative part. All right, now we need to isolate the variable. So do I get rid of the 2 first or the 19 first?
19.
And I get rid of it by
Subtracting it by 7.
subtracting it. We'll do that. We'll do that on both sides. On the left side, we get 2x. And the 19's canceled. Do I need to flip the sign right now? All right, anytime you do stuff on both sides, just double check to see if it's one of those 2 things we talked about where we need to flip the sign. So do we need to flip the sign? All right, no, all we did was subtract, so no worries there. And then what's a negative 7 minus 19? Negative 26. One more thing we need to do to get the x by itself, which is by do that on each side. On the left side, the 2's cancel. Do I need to flip the sign on this one?
No.
Did I divide by negative?
No.
That 2 is not negative. So then I do not need to flip the sign. That is a common mistake that students make. It's only when you multiply or divide by negative that it changes the sign. All right, on the right side, what's negative 26 divided by 2? Negative 13. And then we're going to box that up because now that the x is by itself, this is our solution. Questions? All right, we also need to graph it real quick, so that's what we're going to do. You guys need to get comfortable with the number lines. So when I'm creating a number line, would it, for this solution, for example, would it be like a good strategy to start at 0? Why not? Now that's too many like tick marks that I have to write, right? I have to go like at least 15 in both directions so that I include all of them. So what number should I put in the middle instead? Negative 13, good. And then to the right, it should be numbers bigger than 13. So like for negative 13. So you're counting forward. So what number could go here? Good. And then if I put another one. Good. And then to the left, you're counting backwards. So what would go to the left? And negative 15 if you want to fit that one in. All right, but that's how you make your number line. You don't have to include all the numbers, so you don't have to include 0. You just have to make sure you include the one that's part of your solution. Now you're going to have a circle on the number that's part of your solution. For this one, is it going to be an open circle or a closed circle? It is going to be closed this time. All right. You could just remember that anything that has that equal to part in there is going to be a closed circle. Elijah, is it about this? Okay, wait 1 second. And then Naya, you asked me, right? You can go now. So you could just memorize that if it's the equal to part, that it's going to be closed always. But the way that I memorize it is like that it includes the negative 13 in the answer. So you're like bubbling in an answer on the test. It includes that one. So that's like saying it needs to be at least negative 13. So can it be exactly negative 13? If it needs to be at least negative 13, can it be exactly negative 13? Yes. So that's why it's included in the answer.
This is your new ID? No. No. My bad. They're old.
Okay, anyway,
Okay, I'll let her know.
as I was saying, if it's at least negative 13, that means it can be exactly negative 13. That's why there's an equal to part in there. But if I said it needs to be over negative 13, can it be exactly negative 13? If I said over? No, so that's when it would be like an open circle. Does that make sense? All right, one more thing, we have to draw the direction of the arrow. So think about it first. Will it go to the left or to the right? All right, what do you guys think? All right, it goes to the right in this one, because we're saying that x is greater than or equal to negative 13. So we need to color or draw over the numbers that are bigger than that number, right? Like negative 11, or eventually like 0, and all the positive numbers. Does that make sense? Yes. All right.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna save the you try. Like I'll let you do the you try for this problem when you do your worksheet instead of taking some time now. Because I think you guys have like the routine down, right? Only difference now is like the inequality stuff. All right. So let's scroll down. With your copy, make sure you finish copy. And let's talk about when you might have infinitely many solutions or no solution. So if you ever have it where the term cancels out, the one with the variable, you have two options for what your answer is. It's either infinitely many or no solution. To figure that out though, you have to see like if the statement is true at the end. So let's see like how this works with part A. What's the first step? Distribute. Now do that on your paper real quick. Let's see if you get it right the first time. Distribute that -3. And then what do you get when you distribute? Did you say -15? Should be +15. Right, because we have a -3 times a -5, which is a +15. Elijah, were you gonna ask me something earlier? Yes, grab a yellow pass or and then Brandon will be after that. All right, so everyone understand why these symbols are the way that they are? All right, so good there. And then bring everything else down. What's the next step? Combining like terms. So on the blue side, those terms, they're not like, so we're good. On the other side, they're already combined. So now step 3, which is Move the variable to one side. Do you want to move the one on the left or the one on the right? And how do you move it? Good, so do that to both sides. On the left side, what happens to the x term? They cancel out, good. On the left side, we just have 15. On the right side, what happens to the x term? Cancel out also, so we just have 9. Now, I told you the terms of cancel out, so that's not a huge surprise. To figure out which one is your answer, you just look to see if this is true or not, just like with the equations you saw if it was true or not. So is 15 greater than 9? Yes, that is true. So do you think it's going to be infinitely many or no solution? Infinitely many. Right? Infinitely many solutions for 3A. Because no matter what I plug into the inequality, it'll always be true. Questions there? All right, then let's try B together. What's the first step in B? Distribute. So distribute that 2 and write it down. Don't just wait for me to write it. Okay, if you got it. All right, what do you get when you distribute? Minus 5. Remember to multiply. Minus 6. All right, but close. And then bring everything else down. Now what's the next step? So we need to move the variable because the terms are already combined, right, on each side. So move the variable now. Do you want to move the one on the left or the one on the right? It doesn't matter. All right, move the one on the left. How do I move it? You have to subtract it to make it cancel this time. If I add it, I get 8x, not 0. Right, so subtract 4x from each side. On the left side, what happens to the x terms? Cancel out, so we have -5 less than what happens here? And I just have -6. Now don't shout out yet. All right, really think about this. I know negative numbers are hard. Is -5 less than -6? It is not. This is false. Would you rather owe $5 or would you rather owe $6? So that would make -5 the bigger number. So this is false. So how many solutions do I have? All right, no solution there. Because the term cancels out and the resulting statement is false, you have no solution. Is there? All righty then. I will give you a try this time. So in your workbook on page 15. So page 15, example 3. And you can use this as your model. But for number 3A, what did you get for like your inequality, like the numbers at the end? Okay, good. That's what I got too. Now look at your statement. Is this true? Is 4 less than 4? It is not. It's exactly 4. So what's my final answer? No solution.
No solution.
Now, and this isn't in your answer, but let's say it was 4 less than or equal to 4. Is this true?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. All right, but that's not what your thing said, so just kind of ignore that. But if it was the equal to part, you would say infinite. Yes. All right, what about part B? What was the inequality you had at the end?
-5 less than -1.
It should be -5 less than -3. Probably just a simple math error, like if you're just doing it real quick. Because when you distribute over here, you should have had -6x minus 3, right? And then the x's cancel out and all that.
No way.
I don't know who that is.
Luca?
Oh, no, he was his turn.
Oh.
Oh, wait, no, it was your turn.
He said
It's okay. Just chill out. Just chill out. It'll be fine. Now, look back at this. Is this true? Is -5 smaller than -3?
Yeah.
It is. So how many solutions do I have? Infinite solution. Or infinitely many is what they say. Questions there? All right, so then we're gonna go back to the note sheet and we're just gonna kind of do the last one and then you'll have time for your practice. So I wish that the last one here was different than the ones you've already seen, because it's kind of the same, so it's a little easy, I think. But we'll still go over it. I'm just gonna kind of shorten it a little bit. I'm gonna cross off the from florist part, just because I think it's like so easy that it's like a little too much. I want to give you time for your practice. All right. So we have Derek wants to order some roses online. For what number of roses is it less expensive to order from florist A? And then we have their prices here. So florist A, I'll write that in blue so it matches. But read it. It says $4.75 per blue rose plus $40 delivery charge. The forward round. If that's what it says, kind of take it piece by piece for figuring out how to write it. It's $4.75 per rose. How do I write that? Like what operation? What operation is going on? Multiplication, right? Because it's for each rose that it costs $4.75. Do we know how many roses there are?
No.
No, that's what we're trying to figure out. So we can put an X. I'm gonna put an R for roses, just because I feel like I use X a lot. But same thing, it doesn't matter what the variable is. All right. So that's the $4.75 per rose. But then we have that plus 40 delivery fee. So how do I write that? The plus 40. The addition side and then 40, right? That was a little too easy for me. It was plus 40. All right, but then you also have to write florist B, which is really similar. So I'm going to leave some space here. We'll do the symbol last. But write down the rate for florist B. So like, how would I write that? So I would write 5.15R, anything else? Plus 25. All right. Now the question says, for what number of roses is it less expensive to order from florist A? So we want to know when this blue expression is going to be smaller than the red expression. So here's your options for what symbols can go in there. All right, here's your options. Which one will be used to figure out when this is smaller than this?
Less than.
The less than symbol, right? If we wanted to know the opposite, like when the red is smaller than the other one, what would we do to the side? We would just flip it, right? So that's how you can figure out the sign. Just like use your what do you call it, critical thinking. All right, then from here you're just solving. So what would I do to start solving this? Subtract what?
4.75.
Good. So we want to move the variable to one side. We can do that by moving the 4.75r. Do that by subtracting it to get it to cancel. So on the left side, the r term cancels, and we just have 40. We didn't do anything to make the sign flip, so we just leave the sign the same. And what's 5.15 minus 4.75? 0.40 r plus 25. Questions? Want to double check it on the calculator? All right, I did it earlier, but it is 0.40 r. Think of it like money. Like 25 cents and then plus 15 cents, so 0.40 r. All right, now start isolating that r. What do I get rid of first? And I get rid of it by, so do that on each side. What's 40 minus 25? 15 less than 0.40 r. We're almost there. What do I need to do next? Right, divide the 0.40 on each side. Nicholas, you can go now. And then what's 15 divided by 0.40? All right, 37.5 is correct. And that is going to be greater than or less than? Less than, we divided by a positive, so we do not flip the sign. Now that's like part of our answer. So at 37.5 roses is when it starts to be cheaper for the blue florist. But does that make sense? Like, do we buy half a rose? All right, no. If I did just 37, that wouldn't work because the red would still be cheaper. So I have to round up. What's the next whole number? 38, and I'll do blue for this one. But 38 roses is when the blue one becomes cheaper than the red one. All right, questions there? All right, so we have almost 25 minutes for you to work on your practice. That is plenty of time. Question now? Okay, I'll answer your question here in a second. But don't throw it. Don't throw it. So that worksheet, have it out in front of you and be actively working. Because if you are sleeping or drawing or just talking and not working, I'm really not going to want to hear it when you complain about your bad grades. All right. You're not hurting me by not doing your work. You're only hurting yourself. So work on that assignment. When you're finished, what do you do with it? Take a picture of it with your Chromebook. If you prefer taking pictures with your phone, you just can't have your phone out in here. So do it in the hallway, do it at home, whatever time. Not right now, but we'll do that to upload it into school. So hold on 1 second. I don't know what you're asking, and I said hold on. I literally just told you hold on. Like I'm not asking you what you're asking. I said hold on. All right, anyway, when you are finished with your assignments, you go to Schoology. Here's the course in Schoology. Click on this week's folder. And then you find the link, looks just like the one in the slides, and upload it there. If you don't know how to take a picture with your Chromebook, the steps are on the board. I can also just show you real quick. I have usually just have them open up a Google Doc and do it. I know you have an app on your Chromebook, but some people don't know how to use it, so here's another way. All right, you hit insert on your Google Doc, hit image, and then camera. And then it might say like, do you want to allow this? And then, you say yes, and then it'll just pop up. You just hold it in front of the camera and take a picture. Make sure that the pictures are clear. If I can't read it, I will respond back and say resubmit because I can't read it. Remember, I'm grading you for showing work, not for accuracy, because I do provide you the answer key. All right, the answer key is on that calendar back there. Yeah, it speaks to it.
Oh, yeah.
Now the key is there just for you to check your work as you go. It's not there for you to take a picture of or for you to sit back there and copy off of. It's literally only there just so you can make sure you're doing it right, like as you go. So I do expect you to be checking it as you go. And then that way, if you're like, I swear I'm doing this right, you can ask me. Because nothing's worse than practicing it the wrong way and then finding out when you get your quiz score back. Right? And you have an entrance ticket tomorrow, so that's going to be assessment. All right, any questions? Okay. All right, then if you have questions, let me know. And let me pause the recording. And make sure that you are checking your answers as you go.
Wait, is it the 1 to 4?